All right, well, I'm back, more or less. Tooth is healing better. I'm feeling better, so I'm going to shoot a video today. I have a few questions that some of the viewers have asked that I'm going to answer today. I'm going to go a little bit more depth on the Miller signs and how they're attached to buildings and how they act and stuff like that. Had some questions on that, and also on how I do the sidewalks. So we're going to get into that here now. We're going to start with the question on the sidewalks here. And let's see here. I'm going to have to do a second shot here. All right, so we're back. So the questions, the first question that I had is from S. Dawn Creations. And they asked how do you make the hardboard flat on the sidewalk? Okay, well, that's easy question to answer. Yeah, you guys know I use hardboard. Now I use 2 layers of hardboard for the top of this. First, it's mounted on the frame. These frames are separate from these frames. This is just a support table down here. And this is actually the frame of the diorama. Now this is a 1x4, and I use the premium pine, and it's also reinforced on the inside. There should be at least 5 cross pieces of support running like that underneath this. Which helps, because when you put all this weight on it, this stuff will sag. So I use the premium hardboard. I don't get the real super cheap stuff. I have to special order it. But the stuff like at Menards or Home Depot will work. You can use the standard hardboard. What I use is it's a 1/4 inch is the main deck. And then I put a second coat or second one up. That's an 1/8. And that's my curb right there. You can see the curb right here. So this is hardboard on top of hardboard. And the hardboard is, the 1/4 inch hardboard is nailed and glued. I use both. I use Titebond 3 glue to glue it down, and then I run my power nailer around it. And then when I put the sidewalks on, or the sidewalks, the raised sections for the buildings with the sidewalks and everything, of course, I first groove everything and make it look like cement. Bevel for the egresses, exits, entrances and such. And then I glue this down with Titebond. And I use a lot of Titebond. Coat the whole bottom of it really well. And then you put a bunch of weights on it. You want weight, heavy, flat weight. You don't want to just put like a bowling ball or something on it, because you're only going to put weight on one little part of it. You want something even. So you can use boards with, I use cement blocks a lot of times. I have several cement blocks that I use. I got some pieces of metal plate that I use, scrap metal plate. Anything that's heavy and flat, because you want that glue to hold that hardboard tight to the next level of hardboard. That way it should not warp on you. Now, if you guys remember the video, what was it, last year, when I had the flood, when I had the pipe come loose above the diorama and the motel and everything got flooded. Let's take a walk down that way. Now, you remember that it buckled bad. I mean, the spot over here, let me move Grumpy's Jeep here, but this here was all warped. I mean, badly warped, like up by a couple inches. And luckily, the industrial dehumidifier that my contractor had, I mean, he had this heavy duty industrial, and we ran that for about 2 weeks down here, and it sucked the moisture out of everything so well that this stuff actually went down fairly flat again. All I had to do was weight it down and glue it in a few spots. And then, but the back edge never did go down properly. So basically what I did is I just made a planter and angled it, added some bushes to the side. You can't even tell that the back of the motel is raised up a little. So that's how you secure your hardboard so it doesn't warp. Lots and lots of glue and heavy weights. There's my cinder blocks right there. In fact, I'm going to get a couple more. There's a piece of plywood back there that I a lot of times I'll lay that on top and add a bunch of just miscellaneous heavy things from around the shop. So that covers that. So let's get into the next questions that we have. And let me see, get to the question here. And we will, let's see here. I'm sorry, here we go. Oh, and Anthony, I'm sorry if I mispronounced the name. Anthony Beeler, actually a big fan of mine from Facebook, asked about how you attach the Miller Engineering signs to buildings. And there are a bunch of different ways because Miller Engineering has a lot of different signs, different ways of mounting them. So fortunately, I have pretty much every example of Miller Engineering sign that they make. I mean, not every single sign, but as far as every single type. Excuse me, talking's a little off. I'm still on pain meds, so I might be a little slow occasionally, or might mess up my words a little bit. So anyways, if you take a look, this is a billboard style sign. This is pretty common. They include the supports with these. Okay. These will sit right up on your roof. And let me see here. This one might be an easy one to pop off here. How about you? There we go. So on the roof here, here's your billboard. And you just got a slot cut underneath. See that? Now there's enough room. If you look where the connector goes in, where that white dot is, you can see that it's a little bit underneath the sign. The signs are made that way so that there is a little bit of room that you can use to go through a building. So that's just standard styrene right there. And then the controls for the signs are inside the building. You can see that there's 2 different sign controllers there in that maze of wires. So we'll put this back on here. And one of the signs that is connected in there is the window sign. You can see the Zenith color TV sign right there. That's one of the window signs, and that just sticks inside. It's mounted on a clear piece of not plexiglass, but a clear piece of styrene, and you just mount it with some tape or a few pieces of glue. The signs are generally bigger than the windows, and you can trim them down. They have a wire that comes off the back, so you can trim them down pretty tight. So that's 2 types of signs. We have, your billboard style signs here. We've got a window sign here. Here is the barber pole, and that goes right. Watch God, almost had an accident there. It's hard to use this iPad thing. You can tell this guy kind of sticking out a little bit farther. But there's a slot that's cut right into the right into here and just sticks in. And like I said, there's enough. What did I do with that sign yesterday? If I had it handy, I would just grab it and show it to you. But anyways, here's another example of a sign that goes into a side of a building. And this one's a double-sided sign, so there's going to be two sets of connectors, as you can see. And this was a thicker wall, so I didn't have enough. I had to bring the connector itself, the plug, so to speak, a little bit further out towards the surface on this one. But, you know, it's really hard to tell unless you, like, stick your face, like, right into it. Let's see here. And over here, we have a different kind of Miller Engineering sign. If you see the little, the old style sign here, get it better. It's kind of hard to get in here with the pad. But if you see this is just a piece of EL. It comes from one of the, what they call the experimenters kits. Miller Engineering, they have several what they call an experimenter kit. One is basically, it comes in two sizes, regular and jumbo. I recommend the jumbo because you get more EL panel for your buck with the jumbo than you do the regular size kit. The electronics are the same, but you get more EL panel, which I'm going to show you an example of one of those kits here in a minute. Bear with me. This is probably going to be a little bit of a long video, so I'm sure most of you guys already turned it off by now, and only the people that are interested in this are watching, I would assume. So this sign here is actually two pieces of EL. There's a piece of styrene glued between the two to keep them apart. So there's two sets of contacts back here. It has a different plug. It's a smaller plug because it's not a programmed sign. It's just lights on and off. That's all it does. You can get a flasher unit if you wanted to wire it in between the sign and the power source. That would, or actually between the controller and the power source. I'm sorry, not the sign and power post. But that would get it to flash on and off, get it to blink. This one just comes on. So it's only a small plug, so it's easier. But this was a harder building to put it in because this is hydrocal. And hydrocal is a lot thicker usually than, look at that mess. But hydrocal is thicker. This is a plaster building. And you can see right there is where I burrowed through with the plugs. I should have made it a little wider. I did make a mistake on this one. And basically all the controllers and everything are just kind of launched in there. And then there's a sign on the back too. And this one you can probably see a little better. You can see here. Right there, you can see the plugs. Get that under focus a little better for you. But there's two plugs in there. Now with this particular kit, it comes with 6 plugs. So you can actually make 6 independent signs out of one kit, but you'd be powering them off the same power source. Now the other part of that kit is the, let's go to that because it's related since I'm already talking about it. Let's go down here and we'll take a look at the animated kit, which is this guy right here. This is a custom built sign by me. It's made from the animated kit along with the double-sided motel sign. That's also one of the animated kits. Now the animated kits have a different controller because it has all the programs. I believe it's 46 different settings. So you can have it run as a chase, you can run it reverse, you can fill it in. There's a lot of different things you can do with it, but you have 5 outlets. So you can control 5 different panels with the same controller. And they plug in. You can see one of the plugs right here. It's just this real thin plug. Goes through the roof. You can put it however you want it. Let's see here. Other ways that I have mounted these signs. Actually, I've mounted these signs in a lot of different ways. But here's a good, if you take a look back here, you can really see, because I got the wires exposed. And this is actually two kits, two of the animation kits. So there's a double set of controllers down there. And with the letters, you know, I've had the individual letters, a few of them burn out every now and then. You got to be really careful when you cut this stuff. I mean, you can cut out letters like this, but when you do, you got a lot more angles. Every time you put an angle into this, you run a risk of putting a small crack in it, and then it won't light. So sometimes, occasionally, they do break. Not often. Not that often, so it's nothing to be really worried about. You know, you just build your signs so that you can replace a piece. If you're using one of these custom kits, these experimenter kits, I would definitely keep an extra couple pieces on hand just in case you lose a letter. This one tends to like to lose the M a lot, so when I made the M the last time, I just made it a one piece with a black background, and that seems to be holding a lot better. Another type of sign is the Miller rotating sign. Now, these guys are really cool. I bought one of the first ones they came out with when they came out with them. So I've had the rotating signs probably, I'm thinking maybe 8 years. I think I had the oldest one. And they're generally pretty reliable, but they do need maintenance. They mount, you put a hole, there's a big can underneath this that has the mortar and everything, and it mounts up underneath with some screws. Or you could put it up on top, but then you're going to have something that's going to be like that, 2 inches tall sticking up out of your diorama. So there's just a hole here, and it just plugs right in. I don't want to pull that one out. Let's go over here. This one I've had out recently. There we go. It's kind of like a headphone jack. Take a look at it here. It's starting to get a little funky. I'll need to clean it, but you'll get some gunk on there. You kind of see it starting to get a little gunk on there now. And that will interfere with with your light. It'll make it sometimes it'll make it turn off, like it's got a short in it or something like that. That just plugs right in. So I recommend taking it out, cleaning the jack up with a little bit of alcohol or contact cleaner, and you shouldn't have any problems. I've had this one blinking on, it'll like go out just like it has a short. Same with this one. I've had it do it a couple times, but once you clean them, you're fine. Different ways I've mounted signs. Generally, I built, I don't know if you'd call this a plinth or whatever, but this is just styrene. It's built like a building. It's got 4 walls, basically. It's basically a mini building. And then I got the electronics in here. And then this is just like a roof. And these are billboard signs. But what I did is I used 2 of them, so I had a double-sided sign. And I just separated them with pieces of I-beam styrene. You can see the white I-beam styrene in there. So this is just mounted like you would mount it up on a roof. You just want to have a little space between the two because you really don't want the signs to like lay on each other and touch. Because if there's any exposed, you might end up getting a little of short or something in there. It might mess things up. So something you definitely would want to keep an eye on. Here's another sign up on a plinth. This is the car wash sign, which is, you can't find these now, maybe occasionally on eBay. But I just basically did the same thing. It's basically just it's a 4-sided, just like a building. These guys here are different little billboards. They have two different sizes of these, and it comes with the letters, so you could write whatever, put whatever you want on there, or you could make something on your printer and overlay it. You could use double-sided tape, works okay, or if it's got like a decal, I have used water-based decals on these, but you need to make sure that you're very, very careful. Use very, very little water, and let that sucker dry for a while before you turn it on. I don't recommend using water-based decals, even though I have. I don't recommend it. I did it. I think I've only done it maybe once or twice. This was the first custom sign that I made right here, and these are all water-based decals. So, I mean, you can use them. It's just, you got to be extremely careful because these guys don't like water. So you don't really want to get them wet. Here is the drive-in sign. You can see I kind of didn't have much of a choice on how I mounted this one, just because of the way the mounting plate is. I mean, I could have recessed it, but it would have been a lot harder to mount. So, and this is a double side. This one comes this way. You can see how tight it is. But that's the way it comes. It's just like the bus sign. Over here, we got a couple, the shell signs, which are billboard signs, and I just mounted them. You can see the slot in the roof where I cut on that. So that's what you do. Just grab wherever you want to put it. It depends on the style of sign that you're working with. If you're working with a rooftop sign, or if you're working with a sidewall mounted sign such as this. This is just like the sign that we featured yesterday. In fact, I bought it as a replacement because one of these is burnt out, so I got to replace it. But that's how that one's mounted. It's just, you can kind of look through the top here. You can see. And the reason why these things end up being so large, these sign supports, is because these plugs are huge back here. They really are big. And they're especially generous with the, what do you call it, the shrink wrap on the wires. So it does extend out a little bit longer than you need it, and it makes it hard to bend the wires. So you can trim away a little bit of that. And let's go and grab. I don't know, I'm walking around. I'm trying to do this one take, even though I got a second take going here. Hang on here. Just bear with me. Bear with me until I find what I'm looking for. Because I know whoever's watching now, you guys are interested in this because you're still here. So this is what your plug looks like. You can see that's pretty. Let's put this up on so we kind of half-ass measure this thing here. I'll just, so you got an inch there. So these things are like, what? A little over 3/4 of an inch long. And they're a good 1/4 inch deep. So if you made, a little over like 8/10 of an inch, by a little over 1/4 inch slot, you'd be able to pop that right in there. But what I was talking about with the shrink wrap, you can see how it kind of comes down. And you really need that because this is kind of a fragile, if you pull this up too much, you might break your wires here. So something like this, I'd probably go about halfway, and I would just, come with the scissors very carefully and just snip that little piece away, because this does not bend real easy. And if you use it like that and you have this, you're kind of constantly have your sign under tension, which can affect how your contacts work. It can damage the sign in the long term. So it's just something to keep in mind. And let's whip out the, let's see here. Sorry, I gotta find what I'm looking for here. I should have been a little bit better organized, but I'm kind of doing this on the fly because, like I said before, I wasn't even going to do a video today. Okay. So here's the Jumbo Luminescent Experimenters Kit. It comes with a manual, tells you what to do. Aha, there it is. That's what I was looking for. That's what the EL panels look like that you make the signs from. So with the Jumbo Kit, you'll get one of these panels, and I think these are 3x5s. Or are they 4x6? 4x6. They're 4x6 inches. They come in 4x6 and 3x2 or something like that. But anyways, you want the larger one. That way you have extra sign material to in case a sign goes down. Now, if you notice, there's little plugs all the way around this. So each one of these can be a contact for a sign. So it gives you a lot of different options. You can make long signs with them. You can, you can do all kinds of stuff with it. Very, very handy stuff. And it will also come with color overlay. This is transparent, semi-transparent. It'll light through it. It'll come through with that. You'll get your control kit, which, sorry, there's your control kit. So that's what you get with the kit. You get the manual, you get the panels. There's the animated. It teaches you all about cutting out the signs and placements and stuff like that. They explain it pretty well. And then this is the chase patterns. So it shows you each button that you push does a different type of movement and speed. So it really helps. You can really do a lot with these. You can do like blinking arrows, fill in signs, all kinds of stuff. So I think I covered everything that I know. There is one thing about these EL panels and the EL signs in general is that they have a half-life. Over time, they will get dimmer. And the time is generally around 1,000 to 1,500 hours. It can be less if you're hard on your system and you're running it in a higher humidity area. So if you're running these Miller signs, you definitely want to keep your area that you have your Miller stuff displayed at. You're going to want to keep it low humidity, 60% or lower. I have my dehumidifiers set to go at 60%, and I run 2 of them in the summer just to keep it dry enough, because humidity will shorten the time that your signs will work properly. Now, when I talk about half-life, it doesn't mean that your sign burns out after 1,000 to 1,500 hours. That's not what happens. What happens is it gets dimmer. The light still shines, it still functions, but you will notice it gradually getting a little bit dimmer. I have my oldest sign, which is the, it's hard to see from here, but it's the one of the OK Used Car signs I think I've had for 12 years. And that one's probably seen a lot more use than all the other signs. And I got one of them that's just starting to dim just a little bit. So, that's something to keep in mind. It's, I don't leave this thing lit much. I light it up for when I'm doing videos. I light it up for when I'm displaying it for friends. Occasionally, I'll come down here and relax and listen to some tunes and light it up and just stand here and enjoy it. But I tried not to light my signs unless I have to, because I want to keep I want to keep them as bright as I can. And since I still have another whole side over here to do with these lights, you know, I have another whole side, another whole 40 feet. So, and I already got 10, going over 10 years on working on this thing, you know, from the time I bought the first sign. And actually, it's the Miller Engineering signs that got me into this. I fell in love with the signs, and so I bought one, and I just thought, oh, I'm just going to make a little TV table with this really cool sign and some cars that I had, and then it grew and grew and grew until this monstrosity that you see before you. So, I hope I addressed your questions, Anthony. If you got any, if I didn't answer something right, just send me a message. You know how to get a hold of me. Just message me directly, and I'll answer any specific questions. But this should give you an idea of how to work around and operate the Miller Engineering signs. Don't be afraid of them. And if you can't, I can't solder. You know, so I know a lot of people are like, well, I can't solder. I can't do what you do because I can't solder. Well, guess what? I can't solder either. I'm helpless with soldering. My wife can solder. I tried to learn. It's just one of those things that I couldn't get, even though everybody says solder's so easy. But so, you know, I wrap and compression all my connections, like I said yesterday, and I have no trouble with that. And, you know, and these, like I said yesterday, they just plug into the board. So that is all we got for today. And I do appreciate everybody that's been supporting the channel. Thanks, guys, I looked at my algorithms the other day, and they're doing pretty decent. And I know that you guys are behind me, and I know you guys are watching because I can tell in the algorithm basically what's kind of going on. So thanks again, and please continue to support the channel, and we're going to do some great things here. And it's just going to take a little time to do them, but it's going to be a good ride. So we'll see you guys next time. Bye.